Fellow Nigerians, many people do not vote for one reason or the other. But it's important for us to vote and have our voice be heard. It's a key part of our democracy. So how can we encourage more people to vote? The gang discusses this. Stay tuned.
Well, we find that in 2015 and compare that to 2016, there was some kind of, progress made in participation of the citizens in the election, in this democracy that we run. And but the point is, how do we get more people, the citizens, to participate more? And during elections, you find that some people are armchair analysts, they just sit down, they make noise and all that, but they don't even have voters card. And they are preaching change. How can we change when the citizens don't use the power of the electoral process, the voters card, to bring about that change? We saw a bit of that happen in 2015. And we want to see more for that. I don't know, Rashid, do you have a voters card? Have you ever voted?
I used to vote.
Yeah, I like that. I used to vote.
When last election, I registered in Lagos. My name, I got the temporary voters card. Mm-hmm. When the final was issued, the system said my name was not on Lagos State register.
You registered in Lagos?
Yes, I still have my voters temporary card.
Where is your name then?
I don't know. And all the people, the center we registered was close to my church. Everybody, all of us that registered in that center, our names were missing from the Lagos register at the final and at the end of the day.
Wow.
Maybe they took it to Ogun State or...
There was no reason for that because the temporary was issued in Lagos.
Wow.
So you see...
So there are certain challenges that we should not do this, initiate this process a few months to election. It should have been resolved far away.
I think that's a very valid point because
there are people that want to vote, but then the system.
For example, I had relocated from the place I registered, but my intention was to go and squat with a friend overnight so that I could be able to vote on that day. But to get the PVC, just called that was not available. They said, okay, type in the numbers of your temporary card and your name, and the system will tell you where it is.
Between 2015 and now, nothing has been done?
No, nothing has been done.
So there's no hope for you in 2019?
So for some of us who had this challenge, even registering is a challenge.
Yeah.
Because we'll be counted as double registration.
Yeah.
So the good allowance, just as election period, when the result comes out and want to challenge election results, good time should be allowed for people to challenge the validity of voters register, either positive or negative. There should be clear good times. And to kick off our discussion, I see a very big role for civil society organizations. We need tons and tons and tons of them to come. Not the political parties. The civic education may not be sole responsibility of the parties because they are vested parties. They are interested parties in the crisis. But civil societies are supposed to be neutral, and they should really roll out. We still have more than 15, 16 months to election. I think this time is adequate.
No, but my only, you see, the point you made about sensitization should actually happen between elections. What could INEC be doing between elections when they're not conducting elections? I believe that is one of the
the time they should start
exactly this sensitization, not having leaving it to NOA or this orientation agency. They feel that is their job, or the parties. In 2015, my own experience, the police commissioner of the state called us for a meeting, stakeholders meeting, that there should be no violence and all that, and he was begging us to tell our supporters to go and pick up their PVC, their permanent voters card, abandoned. We should go and, because I don't know. Maybe they have lost faith in the system, that even if they vote,
Exactly.
they...
That was what I wanted to talk about, because, you know, it's easy to say all these things, especially those of us that are educated and enlightened and we're speaking English and saying, oh, how can we improve and all of that. In a nation where you have so many people living below the poverty line, basically their votes or their rights or whatever are easily for sale. So, you know, when you ask the first question, how can we increase participation, I chuckled to myself because I wanted to say money. Yes, because it's funny and it's wrong. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But that's where we are. And the question should be, okay, so how can we engage at the level where we are and begin to improve how it is? I just read the book by Miss Aisha Osori. She ran for the House of Rep in the FCT, but she lost. It was very short-lived.
No, she didn't lose.
Well,
I believe that you can never lose in politics.
Oh, okay, well,
Maybe
she learned a lot of lessons.
No,
Okay,
yeah, her swearing in has been deferred.
Oh, really?
Deferred to another round of election.
That's a good way to look at
Yes.
it, you know. But it was interesting. The title of the book is "Love Does Not Win Elections," and she chronicled her whole experience while, you know, trying to get the forms and everything. And funny enough, she has been you know, part of a civil society organization that has been working for over years to increase the participation of women in politics. So she decided to give it a try herself and see how it went. And it came down to lots of money. This is a Harvard-trained, you could call her a technocrat or whatever. She's good in what, I mean, she's a lawyer and all of that. She was doing a lot of things she didn't believe in, because that's how the system is right now. And it came down to that, going into all those places and just putting money in envelopes and just calculating everywhere you go, oh, 10,000, this and that. I honestly didn't realize it was that bad. So if you say, how do we increase citizen, I think we'll have to first start from there and then begin to engage people to bring about change of mind. So you're talking now about informed voting. That's another story entirely. To say that, okay, you know, who should I vote for? Why should I want to vote for someone? How do I know that somebody is supposed... Right now, people are not interested in all that. They just want to, I mean, it's the highest bidder. In fact, they collect from here and here and they vote for the person who is just focusing more on them.
Okay, my question is, how do we enlighten these people and let them know that we are not still going to bring the same caliber of people, the same circle, on and on?
You know, the thing is this, we can talk to, our democracy is not sophisticated, it's too sophisticated for us. The system we run is too sophisticated, but the people are not sophisticated.
So I think we should also formulate our own style of
that's the quarrel I have about this. Democracy anywhere throws up the wrong people because they have money.
Yes.
The good people don't have access to funds, so they can't even pay. Can you imagine, in 2015 or there, about 2011 or 2015, I went to campaign in the market square. And one woman saw me and said, Oga, if you don't give me 100 naira, I will not vote for you. 100 naira.
100.
I looked at her. She was, you can see poverty written all over her. I said, as a person, I can only impact a number of people. But as a governor, as a president, I can impact more people. And that's why politics is important. For you to impact a larger number of people, you need to have a political position. Take for instance, Dangote, he can employ 50,000. But the president can impact the lives of millions of people. Okay? So through policies that he makes, through creating the right environment. So what we're saying here is, I looked at that woman. That's the whole essence of my going into politics. To impact on using my position to lift people up. I see the people hawking on the street. You know, most of them are from my state. In fact, between 75% and 95% of those that hawk on the street are from my state.
In Lagos?
Anywhere. Wow. In Lagos, Abuja, Kano, anywhere there is hawking, you find them.
You see, until...
So you find, how do we, this is a generation or generations of people, talents being wasted.
But when someone is hungry, when someone, you're talking about basic subsistence, that's living, just surviving, when someone, how can we begin to talk to them about these things?
I believe you can motivate them.
There's one young boy, a lawyer, he's not a lawyer, that used to work with me in those days. Whenever he runs out of money, he will leave school, he comes to Lagos, he hustles, hawks, and all that, So whatever I had, I would send across to him. But he will not wait until I send him something to support him in school. But he comes around Lagos, he hawks, he makes some money, and then he goes back. Now he has gone through law school, he's practicing somewhere,
So there were better opportunities available for him at that time to come
You see,
work.
until we have a better understanding of what politics is all about, we continue to move around in circles. I'll share my experience. A few years back, one of the elections I was involved, and we tried to recruit into our fold a lot of young professionals, graduates. The first reaction we got was, politics is for money people. You don't have that stock of money. You don't want to get involved. You don't want to be killed. I don't have money for election. It took quite a lot of effort to reorientate them that, one, take politics or governance as drama. You go to National Theatre, the hall takes about 5,000 spectators. But on the stage, you have less than 36 wonderful actors who turn the whole place upside down. Take it like that. Total elected officials, local government, state assembly, national assembly, ministerial, federal executive council, whatever, add all together, they don't number up to 30,000. And every election will record between 15 to 19 million voters. That would show you the picture. That the larger responsibility lies with the masses. It's for us to understand this, that power to get people elected lies with us. If you look at Nigeria's demographics indicators, those who rule today, check the background of some of the ministers, board chairmen and things like that. Their age is between 65 and 70 something. They constitute less than 5% of total voter population in Nigeria. More than 65% of the voter population is between the 18 and 55 bracket. But because we don't but because we don't really address it, so we tell them, you come on board. There are two parts to politics. One, you can run for an office. For that, there's no hiding the story. You need tons of money to do it because of our structure. Second, you can offer your service. If you attend party meetings, you're a good accountant, you can end up with joining the party. If 500 people meet your constituency and 450 of them are educated, the very likelihood is that the councillor that will be thrown up, chairman of council, are likely to be educated people, people who have career background or they have managerial experience to manage resources at the local government. But what we have today is when we call a meeting of 500 people, more than 450 are people who don't have even the basic education. And it's from that fold that local government chairman will come, the councillors will come, both appointments will be shared amongst them.
Just hold it there. We'll come back. When we come back from this break, we'll talk more. How do we get the educated population
to be more
involved in participate more in politics? Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The gang makes an interesting observation. Nigeria's elective officials are usually over age 65, but the majority of the voting population is between ages 18 and 55. A disconnect, perhaps? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Take it to the streets.
When the government is seen that way, it will be reduced. We don't want people that are just striving to get there.
Personally, I feel political apathy is a big problem in Nigeria and the electioneering process, because when people don't come out to vote and don't turn up during elections, then the wrong people get into office, and it allows for hoodlums to take over elections and the whole process of voting. So voting during elections and people turning out, irrespective of which election is going on, either presidential, governorship, local government, or even the chairman, anyone, is important for people to turn out in their full mass to make the right decisions that would be for the benefit of Nigeria.
I think until Nigerians begin to have a sense of their votes counting, it's going to be a very big challenge for Nigerians to really want to come out and exercise that right of theirs to vote, because if I as a Nigerian cannot be assured that my vote will count, I do not think there is any point for me to come out. But then I would agree that except Nigerians begin to take the bull by the horn and say, okay, you know what, let's even go out and vote in the first place, and let us even see whether or not the vote will count. We cannot afford to sit back and take the backstage and expect to see the Nigeria of our dream or begin to experience the positive change that we deserve. So we must take the bull by the horn, so to say, and participate in electoral processes that would bring about the change that we deserve.
Gearing up for the 15th CVL Annual Lecture and International Leadership Symposium.
We need to reorganize our educational system. The educational system must reflect the new realities of the 21st century.
Our young people are much better than we give them credit for, and they want to change their country, and they are committed.
The new tribe of Nigerians is necessary. It is that new tribe of Nigerians that I think we all should belong. That tribe that doesn't know the north or south or the west, or doesn't even know religion. Just the Nigerian, the great Nigerian.
Join the Center for Values and Leadership on February 6th, 2018 as we discuss the theme Leadership and Performance in Africa, the challenge of the continent's economic competitiveness. For sponsorship and advert placement, contact Modestus +234 80 3474 6919, muolu@cvl.com.ng, James +234 8146 286645, jebube@cvl.com.ng. To register, log on to www.cvl.com.ng.
Well, we're talking about how do we get the citizens to participate more during elections and all that. And one of the ways, is to create more awareness, more education, electoral education, and the importance of voting or bringing the right candidate. But again, we look at the system that we run. Does it give room for the right people to come in? How will the citizens know about these right people, without asking for what Fayose calls a stomach infrastructure? These are realities of the day, So how do we get people? I know that one of the ways to do that is to restructure the electoral system.
Yes.
Because it does not give room. So there's so much money involved. In 2015 election, is the most expensive election in the history of this Nigeria. 2015, 2011, and 2020, the other elections since 1999 till 2015, the money spent in 2015 alone, was more than the money combined since democratic system.
And 2019 will be higher.
2019 will be higher. Now, if I'm interested in contesting an election, I don't need less than 10 billion to contest the next election.
As a governor.
As governor.
Yeah.
Not president.
As governor, not president. So I think that's the question we should be asking ourselves first. Starting in this kind of system where you who wanted to participate, for example, you went, you registered and everything, and you couldn't get your cards. I think that there was definitely some foul play involved there. I don't just think it was just one of the teething problems, because of people who will probably be using your cards somewhere to vote where you were at home and you couldn't use it. But what can we do in the system to restructure our electoral process such that you don't need to spend such money? And I think one of the issues there is that we may have to start from where it is right now, which is the reality on ground, knowing that we do have a huge number of people who are in poverty and they can't process all these things that we're talking about, first of all. And then these are the people that usually, and I think if we're going to look at it on the larger scale, there's this matrix that Professor Paul Collier, when he teaches, and for me it was so light bulb. It was talking about a nation and how nations grow and become strong. It talks about where you have weak people, and so people are either weak or strong, productive and unproductive. So the weak people and unproductive, they generally die off. And then you now have people that are strong and productive. Those ones are like, the elites, they're out of your hair. But then you now have the people that are strong and they're weak and productive, and strong and unproductive.
Yes.
The strong and unproductive people now use racial violence to prey on the weak and productive, which is what we are finding. So even from our programs, like, for my area, for example, my background is in medicine, maternal and child health, early childhood development, and my argument has always been that instead of just focusing on maternal, and we see how it's connected, because this children, a child that is born today, tomorrow is going to be a citizen. How do we get that person to be a productive member of society? We do stuff. So you see what's happening in the north right now, and you have a lot of children that have been displaced and all of that, and that's a ticking time bomb.
Of course.
Tomorrow, what's going to happen to kids? So we have relief agencies who are giving food and all of that, but nothing is being done at this time to engage their
minds,
engage their minds, to begin, to do early stimulation, early learning, and make sure that all the things that they need in terms of structure is being provided for them to grow up as balanced human beings that will contribute productive, to the society. So it's a very deep-rooted thing, and we need to start from there.
This is the point I want us to, include or be embedded in our electoral process. This you just said. How do we select our leaders in the villages and all that? We should inculcate that kind of system, and then bring it up to the national level. If you do what you just mentioned now, if you cannot explain the source of your wealth, you're ostracized.
That's how it used to be.
It used to be.
Yes,
that is the kind of thing that countries like Botswana had, carried from, into their escalated into their own electoral system. That is the only way we can make progress.
In addition to that,
there's no time for addition, Rashid. We have to go. We really have to go, because time is never our friend when we discuss matters and Patitos gang and all that. But the point is made. We need to encourage people, sensitize the citizens to participate more in politics, directly or indirectly. Make sure that we carry our voters, update our voters card, including you, Rashid. You have to rectify that your vote card issue, so that you'll be able to vote 2019. We'll see you some other time.
In closing, improving the structure, transparency, and efficiency of our elections is a great place to start to get people to vote. Well, that's all that we have time for today. We hope that you found today's episode enlightening and informative. I am Nenna Jemie. Don't forget to join the conversation. Follow us on all our social media platforms displayed right there on your screen. And until next time, take care and be well.